Okay, so if we're doing 4 and 5 axis machining, there is going to come a time where it'd be nice to have a little bit more information on how the machine's going to move and see a little bit more in depth on how everything's going to work. So one thing you do have the option to do is you have the option for machine simulation, and you can do standard legacy, you can do APT, or you can do G-code. So if you had G-code that was spit out from the machine and you want to read it in and just do a machine simulation on G-code, you have the ability to do that through this machine simulation. We're just going to click legacy, and it's going to open up in a simulator here. And you can see that by default it brings in a mill tutorial. We have the option to show stock. We can turn on our workpiece, and you'll notice right now, if I look at this, it's sticking into the table. So what I need to do is I need to update where my 0 location is. So we'll pick that guy there, hit OK, and then we'll hit update. And now you can see it sticks out on top of the plate like we want it to. Now I'm going to turn on the part again, and I'm going to turn off the stock. So that way you can see that we're working with just the finished part here, and we want to see how it's going to move. Now there's a full set of options here. You can show material removal, you can show machine. If you turn on toolpath, it actually overlays the toolpath on the part. What we're concerned with today is just how everything is going to move and if there's going to be any collisions. So we're going to slow this down just a little bit. And you can see right here it shows there's an arbor and the stock issue. Because we don't have a roughing pass in this, it may be running into that. We're just going to say yes. And what you'll notice is anytime there's a collision, it shows an X next to the tool. But we're going to zoom in here, and now you can see how everything's actually going to rotate to work with the table and the multi-axis spindle support. And there's some cool things you can do in this also. You can rotate it while it's running if you want to see different angles on how the machine's going to work. You can zoom out to fit if you want to see it in a bigger scheme. If you hold down the control key, click the mouse, or left click the mouse, it zooms in a little bit. And then you can speed up and slow down along here as we go. The cool thing about this too is you have the ability, it's showing all of the axis numbers right here as it's running based on the move. And when we get to the end, there's some cool settings you can look at in here as well. So we're going to go ahead and speed this up just a little bit till we get all the way to the end. And now we're at the end of those moves. If you look down here in the report, it'll show you collisions, at which block it had collisions on multi-axis. If you had multiple collisions, it would show it up here in different operations. You can do cut simulation for accuracy, where you can show all of the different pieces of information. If we go to analysis, you can see we only have one in here. Measure tool, you can pick different points and show deviation. And then your axis control on all the different axes and which way it works. So there's really cool stuff you can do in this. You also have the ability to open up a simulation file. You can open up different machines. If you had a machine drawn in SOLIDWORKS, you can save it as an XML and bring it in here. And then you have the ability to back up, go forward. If we go to verification, you can see there's some gouge excess report. If we go to view, we can go to statistics, and this would show different statistics on the part as it's running. We can do reports progress, all the good stuff that you saw down here is available up here. We also have a progress bar here at the bottom, which you can expand out. If you do this as floating, then you get a little bit more, a bigger view of how everything is going to run. But you have the ability to zoom in forward and backwards here, which comes out pretty handy too, because when you have a really long program, you have the ability to dynamically click between the two. This little area here works out really well when you're doing complex programming. And I say that because, for example, where it sees that there's a collision right here between the axis, between the material and the arbor, this may not be something that you traditionally see, unless you're actually running in full machine simulation. And where it's coming up with that hit is, as it's going down, it's actually hitting the table here because I have my 0 set here. If I had my stock set up further to where it was not going to hit the table, then I wouldn't be getting an error here. But at the same time, without having this type of simulation, you wouldn't be able to see that traditionally. It's a very, very, very cool, very useful tool. And again, it just, when you're done, you can close it, you go back to the SOLIDWORKS part, and you can make any changes that you want to make. So it's a really handy tool, and it's just right here in your right click. There's all kinds of cool stuff that can be done with it. So from here, that covers the basics of 5-axis as far as porting. Again, we could spend hours and hours going over all of the features and the options that you have in 5-axis machining. There's great examples in the help file and some of the study files that go with it. And if you do not know where some of these examples come from in the CamWorks directory, you have the ability to go to your C drive, go to CamWorks data, and then you go to the version that you have, and in here you'll see examples. And if you go to like 4 and 5-axis milling, there are all kinds of examples in here where you can do different types of setups, different types of machining. Here's the one that we use today, the port tool. So I recommend that if you do get time to go through some of these examples and play with different types of parts that are set up, because there's really cool tool sets that you can use. It just really depends upon getting the time or having a part created to where you can play with it. So that covers our 5-axis. Thanks for watching and have a great day.